Glenn, welcome to another edition of Sponsorship Unpacked.
Back here
Love
again.
this time of the week chatting to you about all things sponsorship and in particular, obviously we spend a lot of time speaking to our own clients, people and sponsors, prospective clients. So we're constantly in the marketplace, constantly having conversations. But I've got something for you today, something pretty interesting, a little bit special. Looking forward to digging deep into that brain of yours. You're our resident expert. But firstly, welcome and how's things, mate?
Good, mate. We're going, I was trying to think of the right saying. I'll use an Australian colloquialism. We're like a bull at a gate all week. It's nice to stop for 2 minutes or 10 minutes and have a chat and yeah, talk sponsorship and hopefully help a couple of people out with our thoughts.
Absolutely. And so, like I said, I've got something in mind for you today. I want to dig deep into your knowledge and um, I, I do record a lot of the things that people say to me. I write it down so we can sort of solve people's challenges and problems. But this one, I do want to ask from your perspective and dig a little deeper as to why someone would be thinking like this. And so I am going to just refer to my whiteboard, hence white wall, just for anyone who's listening and wants to know. Um, Sponsorship is my most hated thing. So that came through one of our recent prospective client chats. Disappointing to hear. I mean, it's disappointing for them, and that they're in charge of sponsorship, and it's their most hated thing. And I totally understand why they might think like that, but I'd love to get your thoughts on why someone might think like that and how do they change it?
Absolutely. And I can empathize as well. I came from a committee, in fact, still in committees, sporting group committees. And I was the person also sitting there going, this sponsorship thing, our committees were just going round and round in circles and kind of going nowhere. And, I'm a kind of fix it kind of guy wanting to just resolve and move forward. And it wasn't clear to me how to do that. And it wasn't until I dived deep and got into it and uncovered all the tips and tricks that it all became a bit easier. So I think to start with, the reason someone might say that is just the unknown. So if you're not aware, you don't know, you don't have a strategy, you're not really aware of how to set yourself up, what tools you need, how to go and find a sponsor, how to have conversations, all those things, it's a mountain too big to climb. So I reckon the first point is it just seems overwhelming until you've got all those tools and tricks.
Yeah, yeah. So I agree. So if we're going to bullet point this down into three key things, let's just say three. All right. The first one is probably educate yourself. So gain a really good understanding of what sponsorship is all about. And that probably, as you say, includes sales, what you've got at your disposal, how do you speak to people, those sort of things. Would that be a fair statement?
Definitely. I mean, all these things, it's all achievable once you know the strategy, the formula, the steps that you need to take. Once you're trekking down a path that you're aware of, it just becomes all a little less overwhelming.
Yeah, agree with you. Agree with you. And there's one thing I'm going to say as well, maybe as point number two. I find that when people say those sort of things, and there's variations of what they say. The most hated thing is probably the extreme example of what someone might say. But I think not understanding the value of what they're selling and not understanding what they're selling is probably another key factor. Would you say that?
A really good point. So yeah, why are you even doing this? So it's not easy. It's not like saying, "Hey, Andy, I need you to ride a bike to the shops," and you go,
Yeah.
"Look, my hatest thing is I'm riding a bike." Well, it's not like it's an easy thing. Most people know how to ride a bike. It's fine. Sponsorship, you don't know, and so yes, cool. You've got to climb a little bit of a mountain. You've got to educate yourself. You need to follow the steps. But there's a reason why you're doing it, and that's
Mm.
important. And when you don't understand the value of both what the sponsors can bring and the value you as a club provide to sponsors and that co relationship, if you don't understand that, then yeah, why step into it? Why make the steps into learning? So I agree.
Perfect. And probably the last thing I might say is so educate yourself on sponsorship more broadly. Probably point number two, as we just talked about, is understand the value of what you've got at your club, at your disposal that you're selling. Point number three, I would say, is the find warm leads. So find a way to, well, we obviously do it, or find a way to generate warm leads from somewhere, whether that's internal or external. They're three things that probably make a massive difference to someone who says sponsorship is my most hated thing at the club.
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon once you've sort of kicked it off and started the process, having those wins of actually talking to people who are genuinely interested, yeah, it makes it all a little bit easier. You start to step into some nice conversations, start to learn a little bit about what to say and what a sponsor might be after. And yeah, once you get a little bit of it's a rolling momentum item. And I guess, Andy, that's where we feel like we come in and the real value that we can add. Not only can we help you understand the structure and the framework that you need to do it in, we can help you with your narrative, with your packages, with your prices, all things that to a lot of people are a bit foreign. So we can unlock those. We can help guide you as to, hey, these are the steps you need to take and where you need to concentrate. But then once you roll in and having those early discussions, it just becomes easier and it becomes this from turns from this foreign, can't even imagine having to do this to actually now that I've got all the support network around me, you know what, it's not quite that hard. And who knows, we might even unlock a few salespeople in amongst the community.
Agreed, Glenn. Always a pleasure. And for our prospective clients, people just watching this, or our current clients, get amongst it. Feel free to reach out if there's anything you want to discuss or talk through. And looking forward to the next time you and I get together and chat about sponsorship.
Good stuff. Let's go get into it.